How did you enjoy Sydney?
Incredible. I love Sydney.
Are we going to become a state?
Or the
State of Australia?
dude, 45 people. You guys should become a state of Australia.
This is literally how it went. It was like, oh, hey, what's your name? Oh, no, where are you guys from? New Zealand? Oh, you guys should become a state. What do you reckon about that?
Go away. Just go away.
Right. We don't want to be a state of
No.
Australia.
Although I will say, at least the part of Sydney that we were in, alive, beautiful, active,
Yeah.
incredible.
What was it called? Haymarket.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was Darling Harbour was what I...
Yeah.
It was close
That
to the
whole
city.
area.
It was just nice. Like, we were out at what? Monday, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, coming
Everyone
back.
was out there, mate.
Busy.
Gelato. Everyone eating gelato.
Auckland's a retirement village.
Actually is, eh?
Relative to, like, you go out at 8 o'clock in Auckland, sleep.
You go to the viaduct, and it's like, unless it's a cruise ship in, it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
Or unless it's like commuting time, it's pretty boring.
But I love New Zealand.
And that's why we need the move on orders.
Yeah. For the tourists.
For the tourists. Oh. No, exactly.
Well, actually, I have a right to live on Queen Street. So,
we should talk about the move on orders as well. But yeah, they're happy with Sydney, happy with the conference.
Conference was incredible. It was the Aspire conference for the listeners.
Yeah.
Reminded me a little bit of Arc last year, but I think I enjoyed this much more than Arc.
It was sort of inspired by Arc, but something a lot more accessible because
it's like a soft launch for Arc kind of thing.
Yeah, but something in partnership because going to the UK is like so annoying.
It's especially for us. Yeah, it's like $7,000 if we want to go.
3 flights, 2 flights, 3 flights.
Depends, but you could do it in.
You could do it in 2 if you would
2 or 3.
really wanted
to. Yeah.
And then like $1 million.
yeah, for the tickets but the thing is, like with this one, there was 700 people, and we're all from Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Our first ever podcast guests.
Hello.
Hey, you're allowed to come in.
Welcome.
Hello.
Good morning.
Wow. Do you want to come say hello?
Spider-Man.
What do you want to say to the people? Say it in here. So Sydney.
Sydney was great.
Yeah. Covered a heap of topics, energy, defense, demographics,
parenting,
dating. Talk to us about the dating seminar that we ended up at by accident.
Unreal. So they had this dinner on the Tuesday night for dealing with social and demographic issues.
Yeah.
You go, and I thought it was just going to be about, I don't know, about aging population and...
I thought it was going to be about aging population and immigration.
Yeah, exactly. And it was for a little bit, for about 20 minutes.
The first guy who was a demographer.
Yeah. He had real numbers.
We ended up at this dating seminar. Which
after the demographics guy does a great job.
You took a lot of notes, I think.
Well, I didn't, actually, because she said date anyone and anything that moves.
It was literally her advice.
Not only was it like dating advice to 85-year-olds who had grandchildren, it was also just really bad dating advice.
I'm trying to find the picture. I sent Deb a picture of one of her slides. Okay, I found the slide. Go on a date with almost anybody. I want to know what the almost rules are.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she was like, "Well, be flexible on your convictions as well." Like,
yeah. She's like, remove as many barriers as you can. Don't let what'd you say, doctrine, or theology.
Yeah, get in the way.
So go wherever you want. I sit next to Tim Wilson. This is the thing that Tim and I are laughing about because there was this real narrative that there were no women, that these young men and women couldn't find each other, and the issue was that there weren't any women in church, according to her. And then Tim and I were like, every church we've ever been a part of,
full of men and women.
Well, it's been predominantly women.
Yeah.
So
what church are you at?
Yeah, well, what church? She had some interesting takes, eh?
It made me wonder what type of young people she's around. I was like,
yeah, are
your children okay? Are your grandchildren okay?
I think you've built a talk here because your kids are... Looking back, it sounded like the most interesting dinner, but the geopolitics one probably would have been better.
Yeah, I'd love to go to that one. With Tony Abbott and Scott Morrison.
This is what we need to talk about Sydney as well. The Lime bike. So we rode the bikes.
That was cute. That was romantic.
Insert clip of us riding the bikes.
Oh,
you right?
Yeah. Oh, man, come on. Not good, man.
Arian and I, neither of us have ridden bikes since we were at least 13 or 14. And we were really concerned that we were going to fall off.
Or just crash into someone.
I almost crashed into like 4 people. You almost got hit by a car because
Yeah, as I
you
was doing the crossing.
you rode out into the middle of the road, and
Yeah.
then you were like, "Oh, my legs don't work."
Mine, I was wearing a suit, riding a bike, so that probably didn't help.
That was the other thing. We were way better dressed than anyone else using those bikes.
Yeah.
Like
It's quite embarrassing.
they were probably watching us like, "Why are these guys in suits riding around bikes?"
Because we're
Not using the bike lane.
FBI,
Also,
FBI agents. That's what it is.
FBI.
We are, yeah.
Are you any closer to becoming a spy?
I cannot confirm nor deny. So
No,
I can't confirm or deny. I might be.
they haven't given you your assignment yet to infiltrate.
Look, you wouldn't know.
Is that why you're wearing an England jersey? Your cover as a Englishman.
I'm working for the Foreign Office of the UK. And I'm infiltrating New Zealand to introduce hate speech laws.
Oh, what?
Exactly. That's what it is.
We were just in the land where they have hate speech laws now. Neither of us got arrested, so obviously we're not hating enough.
No, exactly.
We're not big enough haters.
Is it a hate crime if I love doing it? Yeah.
We should get that on a t-shirt. Is it a hate crime if I love doing it? So funny. Okay, I swear, pillow t-shirts. That's what's on them. Is it a hate crime? Did you read that somewhere, or did you make that up?
Look, it doesn't matter what. That's an important question that we have to.
We're getting those t-shirts made. Next. We
Is it
need
a
those
hate
t-shirts. It's so funny. Is it a hate crime if you love doing it?
That's an important question. If we ever have to submit on any legislation around hate crimes, that'll be my question to the select committee. And this is a very profound question because you're legislating intent, you're legislating subjective values. So.
Because that's the thing. It's like, well, whose hatred is on trial here? Because you perceive it to be hateful,
But it's love.
but it's love.
When religious people come and say, hey, look, I think you're a sinner, they're doing it out of love, but I might think it's hate.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
After that welcome interruption.
Yeah, please, anytime.
I'm a family guy,
You are a family. You are living proof of what they were calling for at Aspire.
Yeah, look, we're at Aspire.
Yes.
Pretty much the message was patriotism. No, let's say it in order. The messages were faith, family, and patriotism. Have kids, get married.
Faith. What was it? What was the first two you said?
Faith, family, and patriotism. Face the facts, make a change.
Yes, that was it.
I think that's what they said. Was it face the facts, make a difference?
Face the facts, build the future. Yeah, face the facts, build the future.
I'm kind of the prime example. I'm kind of the best person there, wasn't I?
Well, that's what I was going to say. What just happened is living proof that you are living out what they were calling for.
I should have been the keynote speaker.
You should have been the only speaker.
Should have been the only speaker there.
Nathan from Pillar will be speaking to us for 2 days.
For 2 days.
About social issues,
Yeah.
about geopolitics.
And I'm cancelled. And I didn't get invited back. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. Some great people, though. Great speakers.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So that was Australia. We had our foreign interference symposium where Nick spoke, which we're going to play his talk in just a couple of minutes. And it's about 15 minutes long, 16 minutes. So make sure you enjoy that. But we'll move into that. But anything you want to touch on before we go there?
Oh, the foreign interference symposium. That had some really good turnout. I think it was very well organized. We had academics, we had people from Taiwan coming, which was influencers, but also academics and former diplomats. I wasn't sure if there were any former diplomats, but relatively well established individuals.
The Taiwanese ambassador.
Yeah. Yes.
A couple of journalists, New Zealand academics, Taiwanese academics, a couple of pro-democracy movers from Taiwan, China. It's a pretty imminent threat.
That's right. Yeah. And I think it was good for momentum building, getting everyone in the same room. And it was interesting because obviously it was a Taiwan-inspired thing, but we could tell that with us being there and other organizations as well being there that are not related to Taiwan, but are fighting for the cause of freedom, it felt bigger than just Taiwan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it made it clear that there were people in New Zealand who were working to combat this issue, so we're really pumped to be able to release our foreign interference foreign influence transparency bill. Get that in the hands of a couple of key stakeholders, including the co-chairs of IPAC, current co-chairs of IPAC.
Yeah.
Got it in the hands of Anne-Marie Brady, who people will be familiar with.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. But why don't we
Fantastic.
throw to Nick's talk? We'll get that nice and early on.
Yeah.
So enjoy this, and when we come back from this talk, we will be talking about move on orders. We'll talk about biometric security, data sharing with the US, things of that nature, and probably have to look at the proposed or supposed new kingmakers in New Zealand politics, self-proclaimed. Good on them. So
Stay silent.
enjoy
Silent.
Nick's talk, and we will see you back here very soon.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I see some familiar faces and many new ones too. Compared to many of the speakers, I'm a relative newcomer to this issue. Only over the last 2 years, really, have I got involved. I still have a lot to learn, as I've discovered this afternoon, but it is inspiring, it is intimidating, and most importantly, I think it is something that we cannot abandon, we must persevere and push ahead with. I am a Kiwi. I was born and raised in Auckland, grew up in Howick in East Auckland. I understand through my Chinese friends who I was raised with, going to school with, just some of the issues that are at stake for so many people now in New Zealand and also of course, in Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, and the region. I can't claim expert knowledge on China. I do not speak the language. I have, however, I did have, a grandfather who was a communist, a proper communist, a British one. He was a communist before World War II. As a young man, a young radical, he wanted to change the world. And as the World War II came around, and he experienced what it was like to live in Britain under wartime conditions, to see the effect of authoritarianism in the form of fascism, but then also, of course, to see the effects of communism and the Soviet Union, and what happened as the Iron Curtain descended after World War II. And he experienced that, and he came to certain conclusions, which I will share at the end. I'm here with my colleagues, Nathan Sayuli, who is at the back here, and Arian Tashikori, who understands, Arian in particular, understands what it's like to come from an oppressive regime. Arian has been in New Zealand many years now, but he is from Iran originally. And he still has family there, and he still goes back to see them. We started an organization called Pillar, which stands for Protecting Individual Life, Liberty and Rights. It's a civil liberties organization which we formed last year. And a fundamental element of what we have set out to do is educate, inspire, and mobilize our fellow citizens in the work of, in this case, countering foreign interference. Before Pillar, I was Education Partnerships Manager at the Free Speech Union, which is how I know Ghislaine. And it was through that role that I had the privilege over the past couple of years of getting to know journalist Portia Mao and the network that she's involved with, people like Freeman Yu. I was incredibly moved by the courage they've shown at considerable personal cost. Their commitment to our liberal democracy is unmatched by most New Zealand-born Kiwis that I know. And the threat of CCP interference and repression is happening in our neighbourhoods. This is something I discovered through getting to know Portia and the others. I had thought before that it might be reserved for the political realm, for the corporate world. But as I realized that there were people out there who were attempting as proxies to intimidate and to repress, I discovered, in Portia's case, that there was even someone who she was facing this challenge from, and this person lived just off my street. This brought it home for me, literally. Their commitment to our liberal democracy, as I said, is unmatched. And I want to thank the Tasman Alliance for this initiative, bringing us here today. I also want to acknowledge Ambassador Joanne O and the Taiwanese delegates who've joined us. You've come a long way. Your entire way of life as a liberal democracy is at stake. We see that. Indeed, your very lives are at stake in the service of a free Taiwan. And equally impressive, rather than hate the Chinese people, You long for your brothers and sisters under CCP rule to discover the kind of freedom you have found. New Zealand must understand what is at stake for you all. We have so much to learn from your experience, and this is an urgent task. Thank you to all the speakers today. I want to acknowledge in particular Professor Anne-Marie Brady, she's gone somewhere, Simon O'Connor, Lewis Wall, Paula Penfold and the staff team, for your consistent and uncompromising commitment to raising the alarm regarding CCP interference in this nation. Members of Parliament, the Honourable Todd Stevenson and the Honourable Helen White, you definitely deserve the title of Honourable for being here today and showing your commitment to this cause on behalf of IPAC. Now, in the time I have, which is rapidly going, I want to address two aspects of the problem before us. I've posed these aspects of the problem as questions, and I think there are solutions to both questions. Of course, neither solution is complete nor perfect, but I believe the solutions must be practical and principled. The two particular questions I want to address are, number one, how should we communicate the nature and extent of the problem posed by foreign interference, particularly by the CCP in this case, and can we do so in a manner that still honours and strengthens our liberal democracy? Number two, what will our proposed Foreign Influence Transparency Bill, the FIT Bill, achieve that the Countering Foreign Interference Amendment Bill does not? Okay, we know that we have a problem. Obviously, it should go without saying that whatever we do has to be practical to succeed. But it's no less vital that we ensure the measures we advance are principled, because I believe very strongly that the effort needed to sustain this movement in free nations is ultimately going to be dependent not on economic or military power, but on citizens seeing the qualitative moral difference between two opposing systems of thought, liberal democracy and authoritarianism. This is a point that has been emphasised a number of times this afternoon, and I'm so glad that I'm not the only one saying it. Research from the intelligence community internationally has consistently shown that while money and fear are powerful motives in recruiting informants as intelligence assets, more often the most powerful motivating factor people have is actually a belief in the rightness of their cause. As a driver of behaviour, a belief in a moral principle also has greater longevity and powers of perseverance than crude self-interest. Of course, we cannot disregard self-interest as a motivation for many, but in the long term, a moral principle which is dearly cherished and lived out has the power to unite. Self-interest, history consistently shows us, ultimately divides. So does fear. As fitness instructors will tell you, intrinsic motivation is always preferable to extrinsic motivation. If you can see the benefits of exercise, you are more likely to exercise. This is no less true of political systems. We may not always love everything about our democracy, but we can at the very least understand its benefits when we compare it to the alternatives that exist. To ensure the health of a liberal democracy, people don't have to like all of the procedural and structural features of the system, but they do need to retain a deep and abiding respect for the rights of individual conscience, thought and expression. Civil liberties are derived from a belief that we ought to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. If we stop taking this approach toward each other, the system will cease to work even if civil liberties laws remain on the law books. To be more than just a democracy in name, we have to continue to peacefully negotiate differences within our society based on the belief that our neighbour, our fellow citizen, possesses the same inherent worth as ourselves. Without that fundamental truth to orientate us, attempts to reinvigorate our liberal democracies will be a waste of time entirely. Without personal adherence to these bedrock principles of human conduct, our democratic system may shuffle along for a while, but it will ultimately be in a terminal state of managed decline. Civil liberties matter now more than ever. Tempting as it might be to ignore the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act in combating foreign interference, we must remind ourselves why we have this very special law in the first place. NZ Bora is a repudiation of the authoritarian maxim, the ends justify the means. Whatever we do going forward, we must not allow ourselves to become the very thing we're attempting to combat. Again, a point that has been made very powerfully by a number of speakers this afternoon. We ought to carefully examine even the most noble impulse before enacting it into law. Having said all of that, my purpose is not to discourage action here, but quite the reverse. Instead, I want to frame what we do in terms of a moral response. There is tremendous social and cultural power in doing things the right way, even if in the short term there is little political currency gained from doing so. I believe that robustly defending civil liberties makes us stronger in pushing back on authoritarianism, not weaker. On the matter of how and what we communicate to the public, again, I would strongly encourage us to avoid cynical forms of influence. There will be most certainly a need at times for nudging, cajoling, and even direct criticism of those in powerful political, economic, and social positions when they fail to act in our national defence. But shaming as a tactic of influence is also a double-edged sword. Fear of reputational harm is a significant deterrent, although, as I mentioned before, fear, while powerful at first, soon often wanes, and the shameless emerge even stronger. And it is this, the shameless, who become more brazen and dangerous than anyone else. Even for those who wish to preserve our liberal democracy, fear is not enough to sustain the righteous cause either, nor should it. We will not foster in ourselves and our neighbours the noble qualities that innovate liberal democratic culture if we constantly pose arguments based on the fear of what could happen to us. Most Kiwis on the issue of foreign interference and transnational repression are not apathetic, so much as unaware of the scale of the intrusion into our nation. I've consistently found this to be the case when talking with people both here and abroad about the issue. While this lack of awareness poses a challenge, I much prefer it to dealing with indifference or apathy. I think a lack of awareness is a better problem to have because it means that together as a movement we can still, piece by piece, build a picture of the problem using our respective communication channels and areas of influence. We can give an accurate picture of what is going on where there was previously ignorance. At the same time, we must show how brave individuals and groups, how brave they are for resisting the CCP. Striking this balance between explaining the nature of the problem and the possible solutions is all about good storytelling. This is why good old-fashioned journalism is so vital today still. Over the past 2 years, helping to tell the personal testimonies of people like Portia and Freeman has shown me that story is the most deeply impacting way of reaching people on this issue. Their stories have the ability to awaken a righteous type of anger in the public, reminding us what little old New Zealand, in its best moments, historically, has stood for. Their stories of courage show what civic duty and moral leadership look like. In the long run, these stories will evoke and embed a kind of stubborn defiance in Kiwis. While more abstract facts are obviously essential to building our case, at a popular level, statistics and impersonal data tend to hinder in one of two ways. They're either difficult for the average person to conceptualize and contextualize, or they can overwhelm and demoralize because they reveal the enormity of the problem. The public needs to be aware of the facts in this situation, but the facts must be placed within their appropriate context within the broader story of our liberal democracy. The thought of dealing with an authoritarian superpower of 1.4 billion people naturally overwhelms Kiwis who only add up to about 5.2 or 3 million. Courage to be contagious therefore must be built brick by brick, story by story, example by example. We've been going through an identity crisis in our liberal democracies for 2 decades, at least. And I see this problem every day. I've taught classes in civics and critical thinking to young people, and I've realised that it is the power of story that ultimately embeds liberal democratic values in their thinking and certainly builds adherence. In the few minutes that I have left, I just want to communicate some key aspects of what we're proposing through the Foreign Influence Transparency Bill. This is something that we created in consultation with activists and policymakers in the UK, Australia and the United States, people involved in IPAC in those various countries, and others as well who are very strongly working towards stopping foreign interference. The bill establishes a clear 2-tier transparency regime, which basically means that there is a register which is designed to capture any type of influence in, firstly, political sphere, when it comes to any foreign nation, but then in the second tier, the enhanced tier, recognizing that there are certain nations in this world, and China is one of them, where there is a much greater risk being posed by the type of interference that they use. The enhanced tier will actually capture more than just political influence. It means that if anybody is engaging in political influence, they will need to not only register, but if they involve even in corporate, they're involved in corporate influence, using their position, whether it's on the board of a Chinese-owned company or a company that is, of course, controlled by the Chinese state, that they would still have to declare that on the register. I'm giving you a very brief summary here, just because of the time. This bill that we have drafted comes with significant penalties. There is the threat of imprisonment. There are substantial fines. At the same time, we've designed it because, in this way, with transparency in mind, because we do not, at the same time, encountering foreign interference, want to undermine our civil liberties, law, and culture. Transparency, shining light on the situation, is ultimately consistent with who we are as a liberal democracy. We also do require laws like the one passed last year, which give muscle to the criminal law in order to deal with this problem. If you are interested in hearing more about this bill, please come and talk to us. We have a stand outside, and we'll be able to hopefully answer some of the questions you have. The whole idea behind this law is that we would be able to, like I said before, shine a light on the kinds of activity that are going on. Now, a lot of people will ask the question, if people want to act in a covert way, they're obviously not going to advertise their activity by putting their name and their details on a register. But that's not really the point. The point is that those who do have that sort of malign intent will have to answer when they have not declared this activity and they're caught out. And that means it comes with a heavy penalty, as I mentioned before. This law is an improvement on Australian legislation which has existed since 2018, and also on legislation passed in the UK just last year, which unfortunately hasn't quite succeeded in capturing the full sort of extent of the problem. But learning from that, we've looked at how we can improve it. And we've drafted this in consultation with people who really know their stuff. We hope that it's going to make a difference. But of course, it must be bolstered by a culture of liberal democracy. The New Zealand bill that we're proposing will hopefully safeguard those things that we value most. But it depends on adherence, it depends on support from the people. To finish where I started, my grandfather, a communist in Britain prior to World War II. Like I said, he was a radical, someone who wanted to change the world. He wasn't so worried about how that was achieved when he was young. But through what he witnessed through World War II, and then of course with the Iron Curtain descending, he realised that the things that he prized most, open-mindedness, evidence, and people that could stand up to bullies, that those things were threatened by authoritarianism. I mean, probably most of all, he hated bullies. And I've inherited that too.
What a talk. Oh, Nick, mate, you just blow us away.
So good.
Should
I
probably
wish
point
I
out-
was there.
We
Huh?
should have addressed this earlier that Nick's obviously not here with us
Yes.
because we were in Australia. Now we're back. We're doing this on
we
a
couldn't
different
film
day.
on the day we normally film on, so
Yeah.
we're filming on another day.
But yeah, so that was great. Move on orders, mate. We touched them briefly at the start there. It sort of all kicked off as we left New Zealand,
did.
the move on orders.
What are the move on orders?
It's this new it's an amendment to the Crimes Act that the police are calling for and the government is proposing, where it would give them greater powers to move on homeless, beggars, sort of undesirables in CBDs, in front of businesses, things like that. And there's parts of it that Absolutely, I agree with it.
Yeah.
But this is huge swath of unintended consequences. It's becoming the new hot topic, eh?
Unintended consequences.
Or the
yeah.
new hot word, as opposed to unprecedented. It's unintended consequences, because the definitions of what they say to be antisocial, disruptive, and even dangerous
Yeah.
are not clearly laid out.
No, it's not specifically defined what is disruptive or undesirable behavior. Because that's the same thing. It just becomes, if it becomes subjective, then it gives them a lot of discretionary power to just move people on that they don't like.
And that's probably one thing. National's been pretty like scoped in on the whole homelessness bigger group.
Yeah.
Where ACT was a little bit broader with their communications, which sort of is what piqued my interest at the start. Was they're speaking quite generally and broadly about individuals that are undesirable in an environment, or even groups that are assembling in public spaces and wanting to move them on if deemed disruptive, which should be protest, which could be counter-protested.
That's right.
I absolutely agree that we need to ensure that we're protecting businesses, small business owners who are trying to make money from having their shop fronts become encampments that then deter customers. So absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, that immediately when the announcement was made, there was a string of different NGOs, community groups, charity groups that came out condemning the government for making homelessness illegal. In my view, what this was a call to action, not a call to opposition.
That's right.
And they should have come out more and off the back of this whole thing pushed harder to fundraise, to build attention around the issue that they supposedly exist to fix, as opposed to saying, why are you doing this? Don't do
Leave
this.
the homeless people alone. Let them be homeless.
And it's probably one of these things that homelessness, these people seem to be really content with the idea that they can just keep kicking the can down the road. And it's because homelessness is a way broader issue than just housing, which a lot of them make it out to be. And a lot of the opposition have talked about.
Yeah.
But it's way broader, right?
It's not about housing necessarily all the time. And it's not about money. Certainly not about money all the time, because sometimes the last thing these people need is money, because the moment they give you back into the cycle of death that you were in. So it's a very complicated
Did you see a few months ago there was that Nickelodeon kids actor who got rediscovered on the streets of LA? I think it was in LA, and he was homeless.
Days. Whoa.
He was like a child actor and was on like a pretty popular show. And someone saw him and put him on TikTok. And then so one of his former co-stars went and found him and like gave him some money and put him up in a hotel. And then he trashed the hotel, stole like all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously the issue wasn't that he was just homeless. He had addiction,
There's mental health
crisis, all these things.
Exactly.
So it's not as simple as, hey, government, build more houses and give them out freely and redistribute wealth, and because giving someone $100 could be the worst thing you could do to them.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. There's no question about it.
There's all these other things that could potentially spring out of
particularly like solo protesters or people who are speaking or doing a demonstration or something.
And vague legislation is just one part of it. The police and their ability to carry out their role is probably the thing that, for me, is the most laughable, because we know the police don't know how to police protest well at the moment. The IPCA did a whole report on it
last year,
and their response to that report was, well, we don't have clarity on our operational power or the legislative framework, so can we have more power?
Yeah.
Bro, what?
There's been a lot of examples of the police coming out after screwing something up and be like, oh, well, we didn't have enough training on that, so oops.
But in the meantime, they're doing all this other training on like haora and tikanga and then non-crime hate incidences. And it's do you think that maybe some of these trusted or, culturally creative and protective institutions would have better outcomes, e.g.
just
hospitals,
focus on the basics,
healthcare, police, if you actually just did your core role as opposed to trying to make everything racial, inclusive, cultural. It's like, let's just treat.
Was it you? Someone was talking about these luxury beliefs. It's like, we've reached a point where, we've had relative stability and safety, and now because we don't really have anything to do, we're doing all this fun stuff about cultural appropriate.
Thomas Sowell wrote that we've traded what works for what feels good, and that we are in a time of unprecedented peace. So we have moved into a lot of luxury beliefs. Because New Zealand is an extremely blessed and wealthy country, so we have time to waste our time on stupid stuff. The thing that, going back to Aspire, one of the really early speakers said that the reason we don't see a defense of our core freedoms, rights, liberties, and even a defense of our history is because we don't understand it. So because we don't understand it, we don't understand how it's being eroded, how it's being taken. Therefore, we don't mount a suitable defense.
Yeah. Well, individual people have not realized and brought into themselves the great freedoms that they enjoy. And so that part of the implication for that in the fight for freedom is education and that's why we always say it's about the changing of hearts and minds. Like you can change laws as much as you want, but ultimately it comes down to individual people.
But it's funny because education is the key to revitalization in this sort of space, but it also was the key to the demise.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? They did a good job.
Yeah, Gramsci talked about it. The long march through the institution. We can't win them over in maybe an election, or we've been sort of what's what I'm looking for. We've been stopped in sort of campaigns of war. So what do? We infiltrate the institutions.
That's right.
And slowly,
and they did a good job, man. The wokey activists, lefty communists, critical theorists. They were united. They were activists. They were very well organized in some sense. And they've ruined everything.
What are you going to say to all the communists we meet next?
First of all, if you want to go to a communist country, here we go. I'll personally buy you a ticket right now to Cuba. A one-way ticket. You're not allowed to come back. And look at... No, I won't say that. But yeah.
Did you see that debate? Did I send you that clip where there was a communist and an American? They were having this debate around communism versus capitalism. And she said, well, give me an example where communism works. And he said, Cuba. And she was like, okay, explain that. And he goes, well, education and health.
Literacy.
Yeah, literacy, numeracy, and health is way better. Health systems are way better in Cuba. And then so she goes, so why do you think that people put their lives at risk to get on a man-made
in
raft?
The thousands.
In the thousands. And float to America, wash up on our beaches.
Yeah.
And a lot of them die. And he goes, well, they wouldn't die if they got here.
And America
America had a health system like Cuba's. And she was like, but they're fleeing the country. He goes, well, if they got here and America had a Cuban health system, they wouldn't die.
Just inept. No, I genuinely think the thing that motivates these people, it's actually resentment, and they want to destroy the system.
Yeah.
And that's what the Green Party wants.
They say, well, they see it as like, we can't have anyone more successful than anyone else, and your success came at my expense.
Sorry, what?
So it's like, if I saw someone successful,
yes,
I would, and I was of this thinking, I would say that person's only successful at my expense. I'm less successful because they're more successful.
Yeah, exactly. It's zero-sum thinking, and it's resentment. You're resentful of their success because you yourself were not able to achieve the great things that they achieved through their hard work and labor and intelligence. And so instead of saying, well done, you've done a really good job, and admiring what they've done, you just want to tear them down because you are a resentful and weak and incapable and incompetent individual.
But what about people who inherited their wealth, Arian? Surely those people...
What do you mean they inherited their wealth? What? Because some as if the person that worked to possess that wealth initially didn't work hard to achieve it. What?
But what if their parent was successful and they handed it down? Surely those people don't deserve anything.
What?
That's their argument. That's the argument that I always hear, especially when it comes to things like capital gains and wealth tax, and they're like, well, these people didn't actually earn it. It was these other... I was like, but as a parent, my dream is that I would leave an inheritance for my children. My parents, it's their dream that they would leave something for me.
How dare you interfere in the life of another individual because your parents didn't... Look, life is not fair. These people think that...
I didn't ask to be born.
Yeah, well...
I didn't ask to be born here.
I wouldn't say what I want to say, but you're here now, so deal with it. But don't... It's just resentment. It's all just resentment. It is. And I don't see anything other than resentment in all this.
But
since when was life supposed to be fair? Equity. What part of life is fair? Hey, you did nothing to inherit this beautiful country. You were just born into it.
It's actually my right to be here because I'm Tangata Treaty. I'm a partner.
You didn't choose to be a Tangata Treaty. You were just born into it. So how about you give?
You're offending me. You're offending me right now.
Well, I love doing it.
So, mate, we just got back to the country. Landed. How smooth was that process?
Very smooth.
And we walked straight through. Digital declaration form, e-gate, straight through. Mate, we were off the plane and in the Uber, I would say...
15?
Well, yeah, 15 minutes. Your bag took a while to come out. So.
But if it didn't?
If it came out at the same time as my bag,
7
would have been quick, mate. Would have been so quick. But this leads us into the biometric security, because obviously we could only do that because our biometrics were stored and attached to our passport and things of that nature. The US is asking for or requiring as part of a furthering our partnership around the visa waiver program, pretty much full access to our biometric data, which is crazy.
But for what reason? Did they give
Security? I mean, the negotiations, they haven't been super clear from MFAT around.
It's for customs, eh? It's for when
well,
you're
that's what they
traveling
say.
to the
That's
US.
what they say. But they haven't been clear around who else would have access to that biometric data. So this ICE would be able to access it. So if you were in the US and they sort of, like, you know, which a couple of people have done, have gone and tried to join rallies and whatever. And, join the anti-ICE protests, they would have your biometric data. How they would identify you is through that. There's other departments that may have access to it. Arguably, the customs border argument is just the tip of the iceberg.
And is it for what, everyone who New Zealand already, the New Zealand government, let's say through DIA or through MFAT or whoever runs our passport system, so everyone who has a passport will be implicated in this, or anyone who travels to the US?
No, everyone. So they'll have full access, unfettered access, and they'll be able to access whenever they want.
Really?
Yeah. Because right now it's on a no-hit basis. So what will happen is you'll scan and there'll either be a hit or no hit on your name. And then at that point they can sort of hold you and then request further information, and then they treat it case by case. Where now it would just be like they scan you, you're full, boom, all your data's there.
All your biometrics and
and that's attached to other things like health records and criminal records and things of that nature, financial records.
So I'm on 10%. Wow, that's incredible. But my understanding is that we already have a similar agreement with the Five Eyes.
Yeah, within the Five Eyes nations.
But so that's not as broad scope as
it's
what's
not as broad scope, but that would be expanded. There are 42 nations who are part of the visa waiver program.
Yes.
The Five Eyes nations also have increased sharing capacity, but as it stands, it's limited. So this would just be like full open door. And the US is effectively strong-arming all these nations because they're like, well, if you want to stay in partnership with us and part of our visa waiver program, you'll open up your data. But then, like I say, they can access that data. There's concerns around what departments will access that data for, what purposes. And effectively, we've seen in New Zealand already, the police have a similar system with the AI-powered cameras, where anybody in the police with an email attached to the police can enter that system, take data, not have to leave a note, take records, not have to say why they were there. So imagine that, but on a nationwide, international scale.
Flop. Okay. And the negotiations are still ongoing.
They're ongoing. Yeah. And that's the thing. This is a pretty early news story in terms of MFAT hasn't made heaps of comments. Winston Peters hasn't made a comment. It's inevitable that biometric data is going to be more and more used as the primary source of identification. But like I sort of said yesterday in the video we put out, the option to opt in and opt out.
It's choice, preserving choice.
We need it. And then security and privacy, especially digital privacy, is essential. Like data mining, data leaking, hacking, all these things are so prominent at the moment. We've seen it even just recently with the MediChamp breach and hack. A bunch of people were marked as deceased or changed their name to Charlie Kirk, which, by the way, such a hilarious troll, but also like very concerning.
That's unreal.
And I just don't know why we enter into these conversations. Obviously,
it's for the convenience. It's always convenience, as if our lives are already not easy enough.
Yeah, and I understand that we want to be in partnership and that we want to have a working relationship, but at what expense?
There's still with some vigilance. While we were at Aspire, someone said, it's good to preserve our Celtic skepticism of life.
Oh yeah, that was John Howard.
Yes, the Honourable John Howard. But we've almost lost that a little bit with the speed at which we're giving up things for the sake of convenience and ease.
Yeah, I think we should oppose it. We are opposing it. We have to figure out exactly
the details of it. Maybe do an OIA.
What the details are and exactly how we're getting the public plugged in, because it's going to take the public to push back against this. So whether we do a petition or we prepare a submission, because they'll open select committee on it. So we'll definitely go and do a submission.
The Tangata report, which is a report that the Law Commission released started last year, I believe, or towards the end of 2024, which was a proposal to amend the Human Rights Act to add basically non-binary, transgender, and those with innate variations in sexual characteristics to the Human Rights Act. And the Human Rights Act already has things that you can't discriminate based on. The interesting thing is, I will just add, transgender, non-binary, and then innate variations of sex characteristics. Innate variations of sex characteristics is like a physical thing. That's like a real thing that it's a physical thing. It's like if I may use the word deformity.
A hermaphrodite, like if you're both.
Yeah. So that's like a thing.
But if you're both, then you get double rights.
maybe you get more rights than here we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. But the other two, those are not. Those are just subjectively based. Like transgender is
I think it's funny because it's the HRA, right? That
Yeah.
the Human Rights Act.
yeah.
You're offended by definition of being a human.
Human. There we go.
Unless you're a transhumanist or something like that. Like, have you heard of these people? Transhumanists that want to be
robots or whatever.
Robots and weird stuff.
But anyway, the proposal was there. The Law Commission proposed that we add these things to the Human Rights Act. There was huge implications for free speech and freedom in New Zealand because you couldn't, if a doctor decided, hey, actually, I'm not going to help you with your transgender process because it's a mental, like if they want to say, well, it's a mental health problem, then that's discrimination. Or if schools wanted to have certain policies around, anyway. The law, exactly, and the Law Commission's policy paper had just taken on the assumption
that it was accepted.
Where, hey, by the way, it's not accepted, and it's a cultural thing right now where some people think that's not a real thing, and some people think it's a real thing. Anyway, on Tuesday, I think the government came out and said we have other priorities, so we're not going to enact this, which is a weird way of saying no. But what makes me uncomfortable is that they say, oh, it's not that we don't want to do it because it's wrong or inappropriate or because it threatens freedom. It's just we have other priorities. So my only concern is in 5, 6, 9, 10, 12 years' time, another government comes in. And if this conversation is still in the social zeitgeist or whatever, they'll say, well, the Law Commission suggests we do this 15 years ago. The lawyers are always right because they're intelligent, smart people. So there's always the threat that might come back, but for the time being, they've rejected it. And you did a your Herald thing on it.
Yeah, well, the debate that I had on the Elephant Room, we talked about it, and I said at the time, and we'll put the clip back out, but that Paul Goldsmith should just dismiss it, should just get rid of it because it's irrelevant. It's like I say, they are protected under the HRA on the basis that they're humans already. They have protections. Creating a carve-out creates a piece of legislation that prioritizes a minority over the majority and therefore infringes upon everybody else's freedoms. Why should we be at the whim of a very, very small percentage of people in the population who are already protected, by the way, to now have perception-based crimes that they can allege against us? So, no, I'm glad that they've shelved it, put it to the side. But they absolutely need to just come out and say no. And in the US, they've stopped doing gender-affirming care on children. They've stopped that now. So the US is like, oh, maybe we got it wrong. And I think that we're going to see this huge wave of lawsuits and of medical journal retractions and all these things. So
UK's already started it as well. UK said no to that with the Cass report.
Yeah. Well, and people
Zealand.
try to discredit and come out and discredit that. But no, this is going to be... It's going to be crazy. I heard someone say it'll be the Nuremberg trials of our times. And it will be so shocking.
If it gets to that, it'll be quite,
The tip of the iceberg that we do know of is just the beginning. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that.
Who's going to be the kingmaker of the 2026 election in New Zealand?
Who's going to be the kingmaker? Well, self-proclaimed Opportunity Party is going to be the kingmaker.
Whoa, not the top party, the Opportunity Party.
Just Opportunity.
Yeah, keep on wishing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to max out at 80,000 votes.
Who writes this rubbish? Who writes this rubbish where they say, oh, Opportunity Party is the new kingmaker? Like, I'm telling you right now, the coalition leader in National and the opposition leader in Labour, neither of them are looking at Opportunity as a viable partner. At all.
Opportunity doesn't even know what they believe in. I'll be very honest with you.
And I want her to be good. I want Q-Lane to come forward.
She's a lovely lady.
She's genuinely an environmentalist.
Yeah, she's got a good heart. But when asked, what is your number one policy, or what do you really stand for? She says, we want to stop the swinging from left to right in politics. Sorry, what? Can you just give me a policy maybe? Or like
centristism.
Yeah, so I don't believe in anything, basically, is what I hear.
And
pick a side.
That's different from being a libertarian, which is like everyone should be free to do what they want to do.
And the reality is, if you look at their policies, they have picked a side. So
yeah, they have. Economically quite left.
And socially as well. She doesn't know what a woman is. When asked, she didn't know what a woman was, which is, look, you're allowed to not know what a woman is, but I just want people to know that she doesn't know what a woman is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our 2 cents.
Do you have any final words? And then I'll say my final words.
Is it a hate crime if you love doing it?
That's the question you all need to reflect on today. I think that's the...
Whoever... We just need to make sure we're not going to get copyrighted when we do the T-shirts. Anyway, outro us, mate. Take us away. And look, thanks for listening. Nick, we'll be back next time.
Amen.
Over to you.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much. as it was said to us at Aspire, be inspired and aspire for great things. Look forward to the future and work on the patch that is most immediate to you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay in touch. Stay in tune. We'll see you next week.